We're going to do some trivia and things in between. But until then, I want to just welcome all of you all here. It's so good to see your faces. We have guests, special guests in the house. Starting over to my right, we have Solomon Andrews and Trenton Rader, who will be with RCS. And they're going to be facilitating later on this morning. And also we have Carmela Pritchard, who's with RCS from Springfield, and she joined us even last night. Thank you so much. And so these are going to be your go-to people for resources. All right, so remember their faces. You're going to be calling on them, I'm sure, quite a bit. All right. And then we also have our other special guest, our guest speaker is in the house, and that is Nick Welty from 9 Bean Road Farms, traveling all the way from near Traverse City, Michigan, which is all the way at the very top of the, panhandle of Michigan, or the hand, as some people say. And plenty of snow, and he's going to describe all that snow and more. And he's still just yesterday or day before, picking carrots in all that snow. So he's gonna tell you all about that during this presentation during lunch. Okay. The other things, there is a possibility that we may have to add a Friday evening. Is anybody willing to do that? Raise your hand. Ooh, that's good. That's good to know. We may have to add a Friday evening for the 7th of March. We're scheduled for the 8th of March. And the 8th of March, we have Barbara Norman coming down. That's our blueberry lady, but also with risk management. She's coming in from Michigan. And she's going to be in the evening of Friday. But we have our crop planner who has so much to share with you. And this is your go-to person for all of your crop plans. And that's Tracy Noels, who's going to start off this morning. But we are so behind schedule and with so many things to do and to make sure we're getting you on board and on track that we may have to add that in so she can go even further in detail with the crop planning and assist you, because you all have to get seeds, you all have to start planning out, and we have to deal with ag squared and getting your plots all sectioned out and all this wonderful stuff. All right, so that's a possibility. I'll let you all know by midday if you're going to go ahead and go for that. Okay? And if that's okay, if it's not going to be a strain on anyone, then that's one of the things we want to do. Right? So let me know if there's a conflict with your schedule. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start with Tracy Noels. You all have, did they get the handouts yet? Okay, you all have handouts. Tracy is your crop planner. You didn't get handouts in the back. Diana, are there any more handouts? Yes, for our guest in the back. Thanks, Teresa, for adding. Okay.
Yeah. We only have 2 handouts left. So if you are partners, could you give up? If both of you have a sheet, can you give up one sheet? Yeah. So if you 2 partners and you want to give up one to a partner that don't have any, does everybody have a handout? Does every partner, your partner group, does every farm have a handout?
Extra?
You all have, Marcus, y'all have one?
Yeah, 2 back there at least.
Yeah.
You have one, and then Carolyn, you have one? Okay, all right. Okay, so at least per farm, so you have to share. I'm sorry on that. All right, so Tracy Noels, go ahead and take it away. Let me move these out of the way. I'll explain these later.
So I'm going to apologize in advance because I'm largely the reason why you guys might have to do a Friday evening, an extra Friday evening, because I have a lot of
Tracy, could we have you talk a little louder for us?
Seriously, this is indicative of how much information there is. This piece of paper is containing the smallest of the crop plans that have been developed. This is the smallest one. And see how it barely fits on the paper? See how tiny the numbers are that you can hardly see what's there? It's because that's a lot of information. There's a lot of information that's in here that needs to get into there. So we're going to work on it. So what you have, or what you will have, maybe by the end of next week, we'll see, are 4 pre-made, ready-to-use crop plans. All right? I have developed them based on what you've been learning about spin, the spin model, and how to farm intensively. So everything that's in your plant is based on the basics of spin. Right? So you learn, you read about all of the foundations of spin, like the beds are 25 foot long by 2 foot wide with a 1 foot path in between them. You're getting real ready to go, right? And then if you have all of the spin worksheets for each crop that you're planting, there are formulas of how many rows of carrots fit in a bed, right? How many seeds of carrots you're going to need for a bed. So you have a ton of information like that with spin, and I have honed it into these crop plants. And I've chosen for you varieties of plants that work in this climate, that sell at market, that taste great, that are pretty much proven to be disease resistant, or at least will do well, better than other varieties, right? So I've scaled it down to a success story for you, right? You follow the rules to the T, spin rules to the T, and you follow crop plans to a T, and you find good markets. And they're key for you. Spin doesn't work if you don't have markets that will pay. Selling it inside of the road, not going to make you any money, right? Your stuff's going to rot. Selling it wholesale sometimes can get you good spin prices, almost never. So you've got to have those, if you want to use the spin model and you want to gain the spin suggested income, you've got to find markets that pay. And those are usually good farmers markets with good clientele in wealthy neighborhoods. Kamal and I have a deal that I'm on board because I'm honest. Right? I'm not going to tell you that you're going to succeed at farming if I don't know you're going to succeed at farming. I don't play that game. I'm going to tell you how it works and how it doesn't. So I'm not going to tell you that you're going to make spin income prices at the Joliet Farmers Market, because you won't. In fact, you will be really disappointed. So you've got to find good, already established farmers markets in already established wealthy neighborhoods with a clientele base that is willing to pay the price for what it costs to grow this stuff. And spin prices, the prices that are in your crop plans, are the prices you need to get in order to cover your costs. All right, sorry, little reality check there. I'm full of them. You'll get more. But for today, what we're gonna just go through each of the crop plans so that you have a general idea of what you're gonna end up with. Can I see a show of hands for anybody who has worked in the computer program Excel? Work in Excel? Anybody who hasn't, maybe that's more useful. Who hasn't? Okay, so Excel is a spreadsheet, and it's a really good tool for farmers because it's an easy to use spreadsheet. What you were looking at before you with your crop plan on it, that's a spreadsheet, right? That's a printout of a spreadsheet. It's not something to be afraid of. It's a really good tool for you because what you can do is you can move around inside that tool. You can move, or you can add fields and you can take them away. You can do formulas on stuff if you want to, or you could not. But for our purposes, it works as a really good display of information. So you can see in columns all the information you're going to need to grow these crops. I have created these plans in Excel. So all of your information is in Excel. Jahari and I were talking about, for those of you who are really not going to be able to use that program or are comfortable using it, we'll talk about other ways that we can get you the data on paper, ways that are useful. So if you are one of those people, keep it in mind that you need to listen to what we're talking about today, but don't let your fear of the computer programs scare you, because there are other ways you can get this information, okay? So 4 already made crop plans. The stuff in them that I chose is stuff that I know works. The crops I know work. Quantities of crops that I know work at farmers markets. So here's something that kind of annoys me about the spin model. Because I'm a farmer, I know how this stuff works.
Who are you? Tell us about your farm. If you have
We
one.
introduced you last time,
Yeah.
but you didn't get a chance to really go into detail about your background.
Okay, well, I don't want to talk too much about me because we are really short on time. But I am a farmer. I've been a farmer for over 20 years in all over the country, from East Coast to West Coast and in the middle. And I've worked with a lot of different kinds of groups and situations, always with small-scale intensive vegetable farming. Always. This is my thing. So I'm a good person to ask questions to when I come back next time, and we'll have more time. So think about if you've got specific farming questions. I'm happy to answer questions. But let's see, where was I?
The thing about spin farming that you don't like.
Yes. So, spin likes to play with numbers, right? And it's a good thing because most of their numbers are really solid and good. But one of the things that they're just really off the mark about is their projections of how much you can sell at a market. They kind of don't even talk about that. Like if you read in between the lines, they don't talk about how much you can. They just say, yeah, a bed of carrots, you'll harvest 150 pounds, and you can harvest 3 pounds a week, and then you'll get $1,400 of income or whatever that is. I just made it up. But those numbers are there, right? They're real numbers. But here's what you can't do. You can't sell 450 pounds of carrots at a market. Who's going to buy that? At $4 a bunch, $4 a pound. Let me tell you, you can get $4 a pound at some markets. And you should go to those markets. You should not go to the ones where you're not going to get $4 a pound for carrots. Right? But you're going to sell maybe 100 bunches of carrots. 75, 100 at a really good market. These are Chicago markets. Maybe if you go to New York, it's a different story. I don't know. We're not talking about, are you going to go to New York?
No.
Right, so we're talking about Chicago. And that's what it is. 75 to 100 bunches of carrots a week. So your models are based on those kind of numbers. Growing for, if you're going to do one market a week, 75 to 100 bunches of carrots at a really good market. If you're going to do 2 markets a week, I didn't double those numbers. Wasn't thinking in my head, oh, I'm going to double the numbers, because Chicago doesn't have 2 really good markets a week, right? That you're going to go to. You're probably going to go to a really good one and an okay one. That's maybe a little closer to home. So the kinds of numbers that are in your plans are real numbers that way. They're reasonable expectations. They're also reasonable expectations for you in getting your farm going the first year. Because I made these crop plans not knowing anything about any of you, right? I don't know if you've done it before. I don't know if you've got it's supposed to be grown. You do well with each one of those crops, no crop failures. Everything comes in, gets marketed at the suggested prices that are in there. Can everybody see this line right here? Can you see that? First year crop plan A, that's the first crop plan, based on root crops. So it's not a big suite of all kinds of crops, it's mostly root crops. Projected gross income, $15,000. Gross income, that's sales, the money that comes in from sales, $15,000 from about a quarter of an acre of land. It sounds impossible, but the numbers work. And the practices work. If you work. It doesn't happen if you sit around and miss the dates, or if you don't research your markets ahead of time and get there on time and make sure people, your customers know you, and you got to do all the work. You can't miss a piece. So let me go through each one of the crop plans. That questions at this point? Yeah.
How many man hours per week are you putting in to get that 15,000 per year? Just looking at half, right?
I don't know.
Well,
A lot.
suggesting according to the spend model, usually it's anywhere between 30 to 40 hours across the 7-day period. That's no,
I
that's
think you said 45 hours.
45 hours over 7 days. Well, if you, that's true. If you have a couple, if you have a partner, then it can go down to about 30 hours for both.
So I'm not going to make those claims for any one of the crop plans that I've developed, because it depends on so many things. I mean, so many things. It depends on who you are, what your skills are. It depends on what kind of watering systems you got set up or don't have set up. It depends on what tools you choose to use, and there's an infinite amount of those things. Though I have given you suggestions in your crop plans, there are actual suggestions of what tools to use. Depends on how many people you got working for you, how enthusiastic they are. It depends on which crop plans you choose, how good at growing those specific crops you are. It depends on the day of the week. And I'm going to say for most of you, if you are really invested in making this work, and you're going to be doing at least one farmer's market per week, on those weeks when you're doing one farmer's market per week, you're going to be working 60, 70 hours. Plus you have a lot of help. And even if, here's the deal, and Kamal knows this, if you have a lot of help, you're the one who's invested, right? This is your baby. This is your income. So when somebody's got to come back and water the seedlings at 8 o'clock at night or check on them at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's not going to be your help, right? Those are your hours you're going to be putting in. So they add up. So I don't, that's a very good question. I'm glad you asked it, and we can talk about it a lot more. But I don't make those projections because it's a huge, infinite number of circumstances that go into it. I will say that the second crop plan B, which is based on mostly greens, and this is not greens like southern greens. This is greens like Chicago Farmers Market's high-end specialty salad mixes, right? Baby spinach, kale, chard, those kind of greens. Greens that sell for big prices in Chicago. That crop plan, because most greens are cool season crops, and you make good money on cool season crops because you get them in the spring and in the fall, and they taste great in the spring and in the fall, and people know to expect them and they'll pay big money for them. You can get that, if you can get your product that high quality to know you, you can focus your markets on just the spring and fall markets. We grow some stuff in the summer and do some small summer markets too, and bring in almost $25,000 a year. So crop plan B, focused on greens, is really focusing on those spring and fall markets, but the crop plan itself is developed through the whole season. So when you get your spreadsheets and you can go through them, you'll see what crops are there. And I can show you, if we have time, I can show you today too. So crop plan A is the smallest, most user-friendly crop plan that I've developed. Roots are, everything there is to grow in the world has tricks, right? There are tricks with everything. Carrots are really super hard to get to germinate, but they also are relatively easy to grow in other ways. So I chose root crops because they sell well at market for high prices, they're easy to harvest, they store well, even if you don't have that good of a storage facility or refrigeration. So you got some flex for you beginning farmers. You have some flex in crop plan A based on roots, right? It's the easiest, most fail-proof of all the crop plans. Crop plan B, much more skill-intensive, much more attentiveness required. You can't blow it with greens. You can't leave them out in the sun 5 minutes too long. You can't do it. You don't have them. They will free up. So a lot less flexibility in the growing part and the harvesting part. You've got to have a good vacuum cooler, a good refrigeration, because you got to get that stuff cold fast. There's a lot of post-harvest handling skills that you're going to need to get to make high-quality greens. So a little higher skill, a little more money. Crop plan C, that's my favorite because I love to grow seedlings. Seedlings are those little dudes that you grow in a greenhouse, right? You start them out in pots or trays inside when it's cold outside or inside. And you get them to, good healthy plant size, and then you take them out to transplant. So that's seedlings. That's an industry all in itself. Truly. But here, because we are the most ambitious people in the world, we decide we're going to do it all, right? We're going to do root crops, we're going to do greens, we're going to do farmers markets, we're going to do CSAs, we're going to do seedlings for transplants. We're going to do it all. And people do it. We're insane, but we do it. But you could, literally, and I'm suggesting you think about this, you do one of these things. Focus on one of these things, get good at it. If you want to add other things, then you add other things. But there are people in the world who make a living just growing seedlings and selling the whole foods for ungodly amounts of prices. And they're done, right? That ain't easy to do. I'm not suggesting you do that because that's a hard market to tap into. And you have to be really bloody good at growing seedlings. And it takes some time to get there. And it takes infrastructure. So the first two crop plans, all you need infrastructure costs associated with that doing that, using that crop plan that we will with other crop plans. And then crop plan, the last crop plan is kind of a conglomerate of all the crop plans. So it's growing all of your own seedlings for the stuff that's high-end at markets, high-end value at markets. All your own root crops, all your own specialty greens, all through the season and some extended season. And then I added some other things because they were requested, like melons, which are not, in Chicago, they're not high-value crops. I really did try to keep your crop plans to the highest value crops that we know bring good prices in Chicago. So there are some other things in there that I'm thinking you're going to want to try to grow for various reasons, and there are good reasons to grow things for other reasons than just to make money off of them. So those two things are in there as well. So here's what I don't want you to do. See this number? See that number? $50,000 in 1 year. 1 year of your first year of growing. 3/4 of an acre. Here's what I don't want you to do. I do not want you to marry that number.
Don't believe it, right?
You can believe it, and it's possible. But, you know, be reasonable. And remember that these numbers are gross income. That's the number of money that you will bring in cash in your hand if you sell every item that you grow.
What about herbs? You don't see that as a
Low value.
category?
Herbs are, yeah. Unless, and there's always an unless. For every question you have, there's always an unless or a but. There is a burgeoning interest in Chicago, market interest in very specialty, usually low value herb type crops like lavender and some mint, because there's all these like new little micro enterprises coming up, and there's like new little tea shops, right? And they want things like lemon balm, which is a weed, and mint.
Not to some of us.
So, you know, but it's always been something that you literally have to give away because nobody wants it. So if the unless is, if you find a specialty market that will guarantee purchase, right? You say, I will grow you, whatever, 150 pounds of mint. And they will guarantee that purchase for the price you want, then you should do it. If you don't get those guarantees for wholesale, don't do it. Because you're going to end up giving the stuff away for 20 cents a pound, and it's going to hurt. So go for guarantees. For you, first few years, your guarantees are high-end farmers markets. Build a customer base and go from there. Questions?
Personally, yeah,
Yeah.
How do you feel about
2 25-foot beds of carrots, your expected income to sell all those carrots is $450, right? That $450 is at a farmer's market where you're selling a 1-pound bunch of carrots for $4 a pound. Right? So if you change that expectation, you've got to grow more than that amount of carrots. Twice as much probably to get the same income.
The farmers markets that you're referring to, how do you get into these markets? Is there contact, or they're asking you what you have?
We have a list later on.